Why don't we open the meeting at 7:07?
Here he is.
Yeah.
Who's Adam?
And all right, just to remind everybody that this is being recorded, so be conscientious of that. And why don't we get started with the evening's agenda with a motion to accept the secretary's report?
So moved.
All right, second?
Second.
Okay, discussion?
Well, I just had a question. Because I went to look for it. Under personnel, it says see below. Is that just about the director of the Catherine's contract?
That was the intent of that, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your business.
Yeah. I went to look for something else regarding personnel and I didn't.
Oh,
didn't
did I
see
miss
any.
something we talked about?
No, but I
okay.
thought I might have
Never.
forgot something too.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, see below new business. That's where it's under, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, I got it.
Any discussion from anybody? Questions, corrections, additions, amendments? No, seeing none. All those in favor, I'll go around the room. Indicate if you accept. Start with Laura,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes,
Jeff,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Adam.
Yes.
All those in favor, motion's accepted. Next agenda item is acceptance of the monthly staff reports, phased service plan updates. Can I get a motion to accept the monthly staff reports?
So moved.
moved.
Motion. Second.
Okay. Discussion.
actually, Catherine, I didn't realize Steve McDonald retired. That's
I know.
losing a good guy there, I think.
Yeah.
Is his health okay?
Yes.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right.
He's had a little battle here and there, but most recently he's in very good shape, and he's moving and looking forward to, hanging out, being
Okay.
in warm weather. We're gonna miss him a lot.
I'm just throwing this out as an idea because I saw that. Is it necessary at this point to fill that position?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And in fact, we have someone,
Oh, you do?
yeah, who's just gonna start. It's only 10 hours.
Okay,
It's not a lot of hours, but we have several people who have short hours, and that's so that we'll always have someone
for coverage.
for coverage. You never know when you're gonna need, especially at night. Sometimes you really need someone
Okay.
to help close up and everything.
Yeah, I was just thinking because of the lack of use of the building. I didn't know if we could slide by, but
Yeah, actually, they're getting so much done. They're doing a lot of work. We've got one guy who's refinishing the podium.
okay.
So,
All right.
and actually, they're all responsible for all the state standards for cleaning. They have to do all those touch points and,
Good issue. Good. That's a very good point.
oh yeah, they're doing more than they were doing before.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a good point.
It's
Thank
just-
you.
It's just not restrooms. They don't have to do
No,
restrooms.
no, I know that, but I mean, that's
There's
actually a very good point.
Yeah, yeah.
Catherine, what are the state standards for cleaning that space?
They had a whole list of, you want to do all the touch points. So wherever people touch, everyone's workstation, they tell you if you're in an office, you have to keep your desk clear, and they'll go through, and I think they're using like Clorox wipes, and they have some kind of spray that they're using. But Dave went through the list and got all the stuff that the EPA recommended. And they're cleaning everything multiple times a day, at least after a shift change. And we are separate. We're using our own equipment as much as we can. I think both Jackie and I are cleaning our own offices. We left little stickies and said, you don't have to do this, because I noticed they were doing my office too. And they have to be really picky with the restrooms. So, but it's on the government website that how they want you to do it.
And sometimes both of them are working at the same time. Like this morning, when they were transferring books over to the herd for the Friends of the Library, we had both Dave Mason and Bob working.
Well, Dave called Bob in specifically for the books because he knew that that you were coming, so he wanted help. But typically they're not there together at the same time. But if they have a project, they do. Bob actually was hired for 3 hours a week, and only in the summer. He covers Plaza Jazz. He sets up the chairs and he helps the musicians. But we call him in for other things. He comes in for other things. He sometimes covered Sundays. But in the budget, he's only like a 3-hour person.
Well, he got them all in today.
Yeah.
Catherine, you had a note in there about the HR director, the changes over the town employment manual. Is that confirming what we thought from last month?
That's
or is
confirming what we thought. Yes, that she would bring it to if she or Steve Mayo had changes, that would go to the town council. That's not strictly the human resources department, it's also the town council. So that would all be a publicly posted meeting, and so any changes there, we would know about it.
Jackie, can I ask you, maybe I should know who this person is, but who is Ryan Dowd?
He's famous in library circles. He's not widely known.
Okay.
He's a kind of an expert on homelessness and the homeless population, and particularly in how they interact with librarians.
Okay.
So he was
All right.
He was a good
Just curious.
catch.
Yeah, he's known in library circles, but he's not actually a librarian. He runs one of the largest homeless shelters in Chicago. And he maybe is a psychologist or
no, he's actually an attorney.
Oh, he's an attorney. Yeah. Oh, that he knows a lot about sociology and psychology and things like that. And I think he's just learned it from his experience working with the homeless. So that was fascinating. I learned a lot at that I had no idea. It was really great.
Yeah, I saw him mentioned, and then it was a well-attended talk that was mentioned twice in the notes. So,
yeah, one of our biggest draws, hasn't it been, Jackie? That program got.
I mean, yeah, it's by far the biggest we've had on Zoom, and it's a larger crowd than we would have been able to have had it been live. The lecture hall only holds about 50 or 55 people, and we had 70.
okay.
Yeah, a lot of people interested in it.
Catherine, there was a line about the CARES Act funds possibly not being returned to the department line item.
Right.
Why is that, and what's the impact for the library?
They will give it back, so they have it, and it probably will come to them in one check. And if I call, pardon me?
Who's they? Is it the town
Oh,
or is it?
Yeah, the town. The
Okay,
town-
okay.
The town accountant. So it's Kevin Gill has it. And I don't know if it comes to him in one check and it's in one account or whatever, if it's in their free cash or where it is, but I know what line items it came out of. So if something happens and I run out of money, he would replace it. But
Okay.
since it's really likely that I won't run out of money because we're not open and we're spending in a different way, he's not going to bother to put it back in since we won't necessarily need it. But we can call upon it if we had to.
Is that CARES Act money for like physical improvements and cleaning supplies, or is that the FFCRA like staffing money?
I think it's a combination. In our case, there was no staffing money. The first time, and it's been in two different time frames, and it's cross fiscal years, so I don't know what's where. But early on, we had a cleaning that was close to $9,000, and that was reimbursed with CARES funding. But that was the end of the last fiscal year, and I found out that we could easily accommodate it, so I never had to get that money back. But now this year, it's mostly been supplies. I think some of the other departments, probably DPW without a doubt, has personnel costs, but we haven't.
Yeah. Do you have, if your employees have to quarantine or have to be out because they're waiting the results of a test, do they get access to the like FFCRA, money that you still pay them for it?
I don't know.
Do you still, I don't know if this has been a problem. Do you still pay
Yeah.
everybody if they're out quarantining?
Yeah, and town hall knows everyone's status, and we're always in touch with the Board of Health, so they know a lot of status too, that they get with the contact tracing and stuff. But it hasn't affected us, so I haven't heard anything about that.
The only people that have quarantined were people who are already working from home. So it didn't change anything. They continued to work from home.
They could still
That
they
they
could still
would
do
still
their
work.
job duties from
Yeah,
there.
we haven't,
Okay.
we really haven't had anybody out who didn't have paid time off or, yeah.
Other staff have just sort of switched their shifts if they had to. It hasn't really come up.
Yeah, I haven't heard that, but I imagine if it affected us, I would hear from somebody in town because they want to be reimbursed everything that they can possibly be reimbursed.
Catherine, the Sunday hours, how did that discussion go? I saw it in there. Is that going to be revisited, it looks like, at some point?
Yes, and I'm fine with that because
Mhm.
I don't see us opening for Sundays. I mean, this kind of allows us to not have to put Sunday on the calendar until November, if we do it all. So it gives us a little bit of time to
Is that
figure
going
out.
to, yeah, will that save on personal services then? Was that part of our negotiated contracts, I think, right? Having Sunday hours, or did we
Well,
allocate, we allocated for that, right? In our personal services budget?
What's negotiated for Sunday is that if people work it, they are paid time and a half.
Okay,
That's what the negotiation was. And the reason it's separate is because we only have it if it's funded. So this particular year, we're not sure. I think they're not positive that they have the funding for that. And so they want to wait until the November
yeah,
town
For-
meeting, because they'd have a better idea of what the money situation is. And we'd also have a better idea of whether or not we actually want to open on Sundays at that point
yeah, for FY22.
for FY22.
Yeah, so when FY21 finishes up though, I mean, I would assume that because we weren't open on Sundays for all this past year, that
Right,
there'll
Sundays
be
weren't, Sundays were not funded for FY '21.
Oh, they weren't. Okay.
So for right now, all through until July 1st, there's no Sunday in the budget
There was no sign in the budget. Okay.
anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
And the libraries typically close on Sundays over the summer anyways, right? Or is it,
Yes.
so it wouldn't really, November seems like a good
Yeah.
time.
We wouldn't lose much. We typically do 38 Sundays a year. That's what was funded. And 38 seems to fall in the school year.
Mhm.
So it was like mid-September to mid-June that we were running them. With holidays, we would be closed.
Is
So-
there any concern that like they're just gonna we're just gonna keep kicking the can down the road on this, and then 2 years from now, we're not gonna get Sundays back?
Well, I don't know the full history of Sunday. Tim and Cindy might know how far back it went. But the recent years when we got Sunday, it was a big deal because, people like it. The town likes to be able to sponsor it. And it's a very discrete item. So you can say, I have a $40,000, $50,000 item and it's Sundays, and this is what it is. It doesn't interfere with any other service. It doesn't interfere with any other staffing. So it's really kind of this nice thing that if you can fund it, you have it. But if you can't fund it, it doesn't hurt anything. Do you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I guess I'm.
So to your point is, would it be hard to get back? Probably not, because a lot of people like it. I will say that there was a suggestion that it could be funded with state aid, because we have held state aid back. And I was kind of caught by surprise because I would never in a million years have considered that. And so I said, I am not comfortable with that idea. I can't articulate why, but I'll think about it, and we'll get back to it, and we will probably talk. It may come up in November, or it may not, because there may be funding in November. But I took a kind of informal poll with people locally. And I have always had, and you probably have noticed that in the budget, there's several years of state aid there. And I've always held back the state aid because in 2008, Sharon had held back state aid. And when we had budget cuts mid-year, we used the state aid to get us through the year, and it kept us certified. If we didn't have that state aid, we may not have had a resource to stay certified, because you need it. You don't have time to go to town meeting or anything. You need it that year. So I discovered that most of the surrounding communities hold back. Some of them even have a number that they follow that they'll hold back. And much of that money is earmarked for things. We're finishing up the website. We have no line item for furniture. We're kind of a unique department in that we need things that maybe other departments don't need. The school department needs furniture, but not necessarily pretty sofas, and we have this building that's historic. Sometimes we might want to do something special with the masonry, or like we want to do this sign out front. They're kind of extra things. So it's nice to have that money for that. And if you're going to use it for an operating expense like personnel, I'm not sure that's the best use of it. It's almost like the money's gone and you don't even see where it went. It went to the few people who showed up that Sunday.
Yeah, I guess I completely agree. I think that using the state aid, once that cat gets left out of the bag, it's never going to go back in the bag, right? So that doesn't sound like a great option. This is now going to be the second fiscal year in a row that the library has given back a significant amount to the town budget.
Mhm.
And it just makes me slightly uncomfortable that we're going into next fiscal year and it's not in the budget. Because when you guys took it off, it was a, don't worry, we'll put it back. And as far as, I mean, I know that the town budget situation is up in the air a little bit right now, but that's just, I don't know if there's anything to do about it right now. It just makes me slightly nervous. I would rather have it there and not use it than we've given money back now twice to the town. And Sunday is the thing that we gave up because we said, well, don't worry, it'll come back.
And
Right.
it was hard getting Sundays funded to start with. It was years before we got Sundays funded. People, as Catherine says, people really do love it. It doesn't always end up being 1/7 of our walk-in traffic. And it's fewer hours than a full day. But even on a per hourly basis, I don't think it comes out to the same amount of traffic, but it's still significant. It's not like 5 people wander in over the 4 hours. So I would kind of like to see it in the budget, at least for, you know, the January through June aspect, saying we're really serious about keeping. And we think that the COVID situation might have, you know, cleared up enough people will be vaccinated by the end of December 2021, that in January of 2022 would be doing Sunday hours again.
Right. So the way we left it by approaching it at the November town meeting, which is another financial town meeting, so they could add the money then.
Mhm.
You know, we'll have to be talking about that starting September.
Right.
What are we going to do? So it gives us a little bit of time.
I
And
think we should be talking about it at the town council and the FinCom meetings that are coming up in the beginning of February.
yeah, probably.
As-
Definitely with Finance Committee.
Right.
They need to know. And I think from how Adam is framing it, I think what's important is that you think that way now and you remember that. And we remember this is how we feel about it. And we don't let it drop off the radar. Because I don't think, times could get really tight and it's an easy thing to cut and get back, but you have to remember to ask for it and you have to remember to say you'd like it back. And it isn't a tremendous amount of money relative to a lot of other things. We have given a lot of money back. I haven't hesitated to give money back because I was assured that would not hurt me in the long run. If you give it back and you don't need it, the assumption is that they'll always give you what they have if you do need it. And I think that's the point that we'll be at. I'm not going to take something that I'm not going to use or that I don't need. And there's a possibility, Jackie and I have looked at personal services for this year, and it looks like we may be giving back $30,000. So if we give back $30,000 this year and it goes into free cash, that's our 2022 Sunday right there.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd be prepared for town council and finance committee to raise that point, saying, we've been a good corporate citizen. We will continue to be a good corporate citizen with everybody, given the extraordinary circumstances. But we also think it's important that, Sunday hours are vital to the library and to the community that we serve. And just as a reminder, in FY 2020 or 21, we gave back this amount of money, and we felt it was the right thing to do, given what the circumstances were. We're doing that again this time, given where we are. But we certainly don't think that we're going to revisit it again in November, with the expectation that in January of 2022, we can reinstitute those Sunday hours. So we just want to keep it on your radar. We understand that it's not in our budget now, but If in fact there is the opportunity to get back Sunday hours, we will be looking for that. And we think it's a great thing for the town and for the people that we serve. So we just want to make sure that everybody's aware of it. So they won't be surprised, and we can get we can read their response to say, they may say, oh, that's great. Yeah, we definitely, we're all for it. And so if and when we do get to go back, I think, we may get a better reception.
Right.
Well, as Catherine was saying, we, the trustees, need to revisit in September.
Yeah.
Because FinCom has to have it on their calendar in October for it to be part of their budget offerings for the November town meeting.
Yeah. So whoever our liaison will be again this year too, we should make sure that we talk to our FinCom liaison.
That's, it's Dan again, and there's two other people
Okay.
whose names I can't remember now. They're new.
Yeah.
And that meeting is next week,
Right.
the second or third.
The 8th and the 11th, I think. Isn't it?
I'm looking.
Oh,
at-
the liaison meeting.
Let me see. Oh, yes, the liaison meeting is Wednesday, the 3rd at 7 o'clock. That just got posted.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion on the staff reports? Did you want to do a quick phased service plan update? That was part of this agenda item as well.
Yeah, I wrote a couple of things down. As vaccinations go out, we're just keeping an eye on how that's going to work, and we need to stay flexible because it could be, right now it seems kind of slow, but it could be that all of a sudden a lot of people are vaccinated and we can actually let people in again. So we'll need to kind of be flexible that way. Even when we let people in, we're going to have to continue to do curbside. It might be something that people want from here on out, actually. So we're going to have to adjust for that. We have reduced the quarantine period to 3 days. That's the number that the state recommends, and as being a safe number. And it gets the materials moving a little bit more, and everybody's feeling a little more comfortable with the ability to do that and still be safe. So that's that number, and that's made a big difference to the
Was it-
inside of the building and everything.
What was it before?
7.
7. Okay.
It was 5, and then it went to 7, and yeah.
Okay.
So 3 is good. We just heard today that the town needs help helping seniors sign up for their vaccinations. The state website is something else, and people over 75 are eligible to sign up if they're computer literate and can figure out how to do it. And the fun part about the whole thing is that there is none left. So they're signing up, and I don't know what messages they're getting, but there's no place for them to actually go and get an appointment and get a vaccination because there's no vaccine right now. So tomorrow we're gonna put some people in the building, split up a list of 100 names and call people and see if we can help them to sign up. The senior center has been doing it by themselves, and they're overwhelmed with the number of calls and how difficult it is to help people. So librarians, this is what we do. So we're just going to be doing a lot of it. We'll try that tomorrow. And that's
Sounds like
about it.
That sounds like a good thing.
Well, it does make you feel like you're doing something constructive.
Yeah.
Like that you're helping in some way. And we'll kind of now be on the list. So when they move to the next phase of whatever that is, they may set up a phone bank or something, but librarians will be part of that team to help people do it.
Well, that's good, because you and Jackie will help us when it's our turn to sign up. That's awesome. That'll be really good.
I'm actually a little nervous because I looked at the website and Judy Luciano said to me, don't fill out the form at the top and don't use the search because the search doesn't work. Just scroll. So everybody who's going in using the search, it doesn't work.
Jesus.
So imagine you're like 90 and you're trying to figure out how to do this. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we'll
Well,
find
I'm
out
not
how.
90, but I don't want to try to figure it out either personally, so.
No, I don't know.
All right. Anything else on the monthly staff reports? Okay, all those in favor, say aye. I'll go around the room. Laura,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Tim,
Yeah,
Adam,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is public participation. I don't see anybody. Correspondence, I didn't see any in the packets. Committee reports, budget, anything, Catherine, on budget? Other than,
No, I think it was just the thing we spoke about. Everything else is fine.
okay. Building and grounds, Tim, anything on the sign?
just a little update. Still gathering some information to put together a spec and but I did have a conversation with Jim McBain, who's on the Board of Appeals, but he also is involved with the sign bylaw. And so I wanted to double check some stuff because because what I want to do is get some administrative stuff out of the way. We'll have to get a permit for the sign and make sure that there's no issues there. And I had a very good conversation with him, and basically he told me we're exempt from any of the regulations
Oh,
because we're a municipal building. So that being said, I told him also that we had no interest in, putting out some gaudy sign in the front of the.
Oh, I do. Let's get something really flashy then.
Yeah, that's the real estate agent. He wants to advertise on it. I know him.
Come stream.
But so we talked about some of it, and I told him I'd include him in the kind of the development of what we're trying to do. So he was very helpful, and he was very helpful, and he has some good ideas. And for people who don't know, Jim McBain, Cindy would know, but Jim McBain was kind of he wasn't the lead architect on the renovation project, but he did a lot of the administrative stuff, and it was very involved in when we did the library, 20 years ago?
right.
So Jim was great, and he still has an affection for the library, no doubt about it. So he was very helpful, and I'm going to keep him in the loop on it because he could help make sure things go smoothly. So
Excellent.
I want to get that administrative stuff out of the way so there's no thing. So I'm hoping, by next meeting, we'll have a permit to do the work and then have a spec in place to get this competitively priced anyways. We don't have to bid it, I don't believe, but we'll probably have to do some quotes. So, but that's about where it is right now.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I mean, I think that if we, even though we're exempt, we still want to be,
Yeah,
within the parameters of the of what the bylaws say, and
well,
I wouldn't desire to go outside of that if we don't have to.
exactly. And that's what I wanted to get across, that
Right.
we're just looking to do something that's pretty subdued and subtle, but works for us. So, so that it was good information, and we talked about a couple ideas, and he was more than familiar with our sign.
Sure.
Cindy, I don't know, just a note aside. I don't know if you remember, but we didn't have that in the original plan, that sign.
Right.
And we did it, we did it as a change order. And I don't remember this, but Jim reminded me, we did it at a change order because we had all this extra brick and material around. And we had a few mistakes, a few things were manufactured mistakes and they were incorporated into the sign.
I remember it was a change order.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we got them to do it, we already own the materials, so it was just labor, quite frankly. So I didn't remember that. I thought it was part of our overall plan, but we never had
Oh.
a sign as a plan. And Jim convinced Peter, who was the chairman at the time, that, Peter wanted to put up some wooden sign. And Jim convinced him to do something more substantial. So there was some history I'd kind of forgotten. But at any rate,
Did he build the trustees table?
yes.
Yeah.
And he
his
provided
basement.
it, he gave that as a gift.
Yes.
That's from the doors. If you look at that, those were refurbished doors from the original building
Yeah.
that we didn't reuse.
The knob
So-
is still in it too.
Yes.
The
Yep.
brass knob is embedded in it. Yeah, it's
Yep.
beautiful.
And his
Jim
workshop
gave-
and his
Yeah,
workshop
Jim-
in his basement's very small. It's only like a 7-8 foot ceiling. The fact that he could get that door down into his basement in his workshop and back out again in itself is amazing.
Yeah. And he gifted that to us.
He certainly did.
Yeah, it was no cost. I
Labor
mean,
of
he
love.
gave that as a gift for the project.
Yep.
So anyway, that's the end of it. That's where we stand right now.
Okay.
Excellent.
Move along.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Tim. Friends?
Yep. So I went to the meeting earlier, this month, and it was a good meeting, pretty well attended. They were working on a lot of business, but the big one I noticed was that they had really caught up on their membership goals. I think they almost hit or have exceeded where they were in previous years, where they had been pretty far behind earlier. And I think that's they've been getting getting the letters out, and I think it went out in the light bill as one of this. So they were happy about that. And then we had some updates on the book sale. I don't know if Cindy, it's cold in the herd is what I got out of the meeting, that it's very cold, and thanks the Boy Scouts for helping them sort the books and everything now. So that's going along. And then there was some question about whether or not they could call it a book sale and not charge sales tax and things like that. So we're doing book fundraisers every couple months, not book sales now. So there's some point on that. And then they started working on their mission statement and their bylaws, which got kind of cut off at the end of the meeting, but I know it's something they're working on. And then the other big thing was the payphone, which I guess the cost is $900 per year minus how much it's used. And I was surprised it was still used about $213 worth this year, which is pretty much on par with previous years, right? It wasn't that much farther down than previous years. But I know that Catherine, you had some follow-up with that, right?
Yeah, that we wanted to keep it, and I think it's moving in that direction.
So
We're gonna hold on to it. I
So I
think
think the
I think the president wants to do due diligence to make sure that it's the most cost-effective thing that we're doing. But I think we're going to hold on to it.
So yeah, that was
Okay,
the trustees.
sounds good. So I'll be at the next meeting on February 4th. So I'll report accordingly. Okay, gift funds, anything? Cindy? Those
I have
other than what's
nothing.
in okay. Legislative advocacy?
I didn't see anything to report on.
I
Okay.
didn't either.
Catherine did. Yeah.
No, I didn't either.
Seemed like a quiet month.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the governor just put out his budget yesterday, I think. But yes, I think of today he put out his budget. Filed his budget. Okay, personnel, anything more on personnel? I don't think so.
No.
Okay, new business, holiday schedule edit.
Okay, so I don't know why I'm having such trouble with this holiday schedule, because we have a spreadsheet that shows everything we've done going back to, I think, 1980. And so for Christmas 2021 and New Year's 2022, according to what we've always done before, when it's on a Saturday, we would be closed all day Friday and all day Saturday. And when we're open on Sundays, for Christmas, we close on Sundays. So what I have here is still again not right. The closed Friday and Sunday for Christmas, I do want that. But for New Year's Day, it says closed Friday at 1. It should just say closed Friday.
So New Year's Day 2021, Friday, January 1st, closed Thursday should say,
No, at the bottom of the list. Because New Year's Day 2021 is already passed.
is it? Yeah, I'm kidding. Yes. Yeah. So New Year's Day 2022, right?
Every day's
Enjoyed
the
that
same.
year so much. We haven't.
Yeah, right.
Every day's the same, who knows?
I know. Okay, so it should say, so New Year's Day 2022, Saturday, January 1st, closed.
It's to say closed Friday, and
Okay.
not at 1, but all day Friday.
Okay, just
And then
closed Friday.
Christmas closed Friday and Sunday. Do I have that right, Jackie?
Why would we close on the 31st? Aren't we usually open on New Year's Eve because you do the children's thing at noon?
It
Don't you-
depends on the day that it falls on.
Yeah, it's the day that it falls on.
I
It's-
think-
it's because it's a Saturday.
And historically, I think part of it is because the staff alternates. So if you were already off, like half the staff's already off that day, and I don't know if that was part of it, but it gets confusing when some people have a day off and some people don't.
That- That's
But that
that's part of it, but the other part of it is that Sharon watched this for 20 or 30 years,
Yeah.
and she looked at how people used the building. And when the holidays are on the weekends like that, you can pretty safely close. You don't get a lot of business.
So Catherine, would the library be closed as well on Sunday, January 2nd?
No.
No.
If we were open on Sundays, we would be open January 2nd, the day after the holiday.
Okay, and that doesn't impact the schedule, the Sunday schedule for people who alternate, or that's a separate?
No, because that's Sunday's separate, yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else on the schedule change?
So we need to vote on that, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
So-
okay.
So I'll have them take a motion to amend the holiday schedule as stated. Okay. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, I'll go around the room. Laura,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes,
Adam,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Motion carries, no one opposed. Next item is Friends Memorandum of Understanding, MOU.
Yes, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because it's going to bounce back and forth between you and the Friends probably for several months. But the idea behind it, lots of libraries have these memorandum of understanding. And what it does is help the Friends when the board's turning over, or it just kind of sets some ground rules. It's a contract. It's not a legal contract, but it's legal in how a handshake would be, that kind of a contract. So it doesn't necessarily have to go through an attorney and all of that, although we have attorneys here who can look at it and decide whether it's okay. So for the most part, what I've written here as a draft is from a template that people all across the country use. And I picked things that we already do. You know, the trustees agree to have a member to visit the friends meetings. But I also included things, let's see, like the friends will agree to take all steps necessary to retain their 501c3 nonprofit status. It's sort of a reminder to people who, you know, you come in all excited and you want to do the book sale, and then you say, oh, I'm going to be the president. It's just to be able to see that. It's a reminder that, oh yeah, that's something, you know, what do we have to do about that? Does the treasurer have to file? Or it's just a little reminder. And it puts everybody on the same page as to what everybody's obligations are, or expectations. It's mostly about expectations. So I would say in the next month, or whenever you're having coffee and you want to look at it, give it a little thought. If you think there's something that should be incorporated in there that isn't, or something that's there that doesn't need to be, I think the friends are going to do the same thing, and they're going to vote on whether or not they want it at all. I think they're leaning toward wanting it. But I think they're going to spend a lot of time talking about what goes into it. So we'll just bring it back and forth so that both parties are in agreement as to what's there. So I just wanted you to be aware of it, that I think I recommended it because I thought it was a good idea for people to set their expectations. What
The
happened?
friends will discuss it for the first time at their next meeting, at their February meeting.
For the February.
Right,
Okay. I mean, my initial take on it, and we can sort of go over it at some other point in time, is I'm sure the discussion will sort of evolve, is that I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not going to be convinced otherwise, but I don't know why it's necessary. And I understand why you say subject, you know, you sort of say because of turnover in the boards, but, you know, from my perspective, the board's an open meeting. They can come to any meeting they want to and, you know, participate in the meetings, you know, ask questions and get all of the information like strategic planning and things like that and be part of that discussion. We'd certainly, I can't imagine a board would say that they're not able to, you know, public participation, you know what I mean? They wouldn't have a vote, but they would certainly, and we would certainly listen to them. So I'm not sure why we'd be tied down to an MOU where the mechanisms are already in place for that to happen, to open the dialogue and discussions. So that's my first initial thing. I'm not saying this isn't necessary, but that's my initial take on it.
Have you read the whole thing?
Yep. I read the whole
Because I
thing.
thought that, you know, I'm not sure. It's something like engage in advocacy efforts on behalf of the library in keeping with trustee objectives is something that every friend would know that that's what you want to do. That, I mean, in some cases, they don't think about advocacy at all.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that's our role to tell them how they should do it. That's their job to
but see,
run the
that's,
organization.
That's
but I think
the
I think,
understanding. You
yeah,
want
that's
friends
why
to have an understanding.
yeah, it's to have an understanding. And it's not just an understanding between the trustees and the friends, but even among the friends themselves. Do they all have the same goal, and do they all know what their existence actually is? So their mission statement says something, but it doesn't really define the organizational workings that they may expect.
But shouldn't that be part of their mission statement, their bylaws, their organizationals? You know what I mean? Like that should be part of theirs. And we as a member of that, you know, as we go to these meetings, that's when we should advocate for that. That should be, that we should tell them, look, you would want to put that in there. We, as a trustee, I would say at the meeting, look, as part of the mission, it's important, I think, for this organization, the Friends, to be an advocate, and that should be part of your mission statement. If it's not, then it shouldn't be in the MOU.
So the memorandum of understanding goes to a new person, a new friends person who just joins the board, mostly because she likes what Jody bakes. And she gets this memorandum of understanding and sees that the friends and the trustees go to one another's meetings and have a relationship. You may not even know that the friends and the trustees have a relationship.
Mhm.
I mean, I think exactly what you're saying, Kevin, is why I think they have not ever had one of these. But they've managed perfectly fine without
Right,
it. So I
right.
think if they didn't have one, I don't think the earth would shatter. I don't think there's a problem for them to not have it. But in the last, and Cindy, you know, you've kind of been through this too. So in the last several months, when really invested diehard people who have managed the Friends for 30 years decided they were kind of done and wanted to pass things over, it was kind of hard to pass it over because so much of it was institutional knowledge. So if we could design a memorandum of understanding that just transferred that institutional knowledge, I think it would have been easier for everybody. You know, you become the treasurer, you're going to make it your own. You maybe don't know that there's a particular standard that friends groups follow.
Yeah.
So that's what the understanding is. But
Although they do pass books down,
they
you know, the
pass books,
treasurer's
and everybody knows
records
what
and
the numbers
such.
are. Yeah.
But it varies. It depends on how an officer leaves. So they've had, you know, a president leave in the past and nothing got passed on. And that sometimes the president left in a way that people felt uncomfortable trying to contact that person, or the person wasn't returning messages. And so there was, you know, a big gap, a big lapse. And a year and a half ago, there were people who were thinking like, maybe the Friends shouldn't be continuing.
No,
There
I
were
know.
some
I was at one of
officers
those. Yeah, I was at one of those
some
meetings.
officers felt
It was
that way.
pretty. Yeah, it was pretty disheartening. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm not saying I disagree with it. I'm just saying that was my initial take on it. At least, you
Right.
know, like,
Right.
and just sort of, you know, committing something to paper like this, and actually, then that commits us. Not that I say we're not. I don't disagree with any of these values or these goals. Absolutely, at all. I think they're perfectly legitimate, and it's been functioning well the way we've been doing it. And maybe that's part of sort of what I've sort of looked at. I'm like, oh, geez, do we really need to put it in writing? You know, it's been functioning pretty well, and you know, I get a little bit. It just sort of raises my raises my eyebrows a little bit when I see MOU between public, like a public board where, you know, we have open meeting laws and things like that, and a sort of a 501c3. And again, I'm not saying I'm opposed to. That was just sort of my initial take on it. But I'm more than willing to sort of you know, listen, and as we discuss the thing going forward, you know.
But Kevin, kind of to your point, I assume that this becomes a public document.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And if someone ever questioned the relationship between the parties, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess.
Now there's a document out there that from someone on the outside who may at some point question this, I'm not sure how I like how this works. Well, it's how it works.
It also gives the library, does it give the library a little protection too, in terms of, not protection, but like the line in there about having the library having final say in terms of certain gifts? I know it's come up, like the Friends may think that something is a really good idea, and it may be, but it may not be necessarily in the best interest of what the library really needs. You know what I mean? So, and we don't have to get into that minutia, but you know, a mutually beneficial understanding of
Yeah.
how we worked, more of like how the partnership works rather than
Right.
but I can't speak to the legal aspects.
It seems like it should be, it's almost more of an agreement between the library and the Friends versus the trustees and the Friends.
Well, the trustees
Yeah,
are the library. You're the
Right.
authority. So that's why it would be, because it could be between the director and the, you know, it's not, like I said earlier, it's not this hard legal document.
Yeah.
So it could be the director, but, you know, I don't know. It just seems.
Defines the relationship.
It defines the relationship.
Outside, I think it's helpful.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if it can't be done in a less like MOU to me is like, it's a legal document. It's a memorandum of understanding signed by both parties. you're bound by the language of it, right? I mean, that's what it seems to me. See you, Laura.
Hi, Laura.
Whereas maybe some type like a mission statement or something less like, I don't know. It just seems like a mission statement or however you want to call it, like, or a policy or something, or I don't know.
That's what this is. It's a policy.
Not a policy because it's signed by both parties and it binds the trustees. I think an MOU does.
So I think
as opposed to a policy.
sorry, you can go ahead, Cindy. Sorry.
I think it's when I was reading about it on the Library Friends statewide chat group, and it's been discussed since December. It had a flux where there was a lot of discussion going on from libraries, and I was like, okay, some libraries do this, no big deal, different practices in different places. And then Catherine brought it up, and I'm like, to myself, I didn't discuss with the friends. To myself, I thought, I'm not sure if that's right in our situation, but I didn't express that to anybody because I'm not on the board of the Friends, and I could sway people there, but I didn't want to. I wouldn't have them making up their own mind about it. And then I read through the whole one, this draft, and there's a line or two that I get hung up on, but I'm not going to bring that up now because I know the Friends haven't even discussed it yet. But overall, I like it. And I think it's as important for the trustees to, for every new trustee to get a copy of this to say, hey, there's a Friends group in town, because I would bet money that not all 9 of us actually have an active membership to the Friends. I could be wrong, and I'd be thrilled if I was wrong, but I'm guessing based on past history that we don't all have an active membership. So we all don't, other than our once a month liaison, we don't necessarily each have a very deep relationship with the Friends, and therefore don't really know the full breadth of what they're doing at any given time. You may not receive their newsletter or read it or pay attention to their Facebook page or what have you. This gives a lot of information all at once. And in that way, I think it's just as valuable to the trustees. On the other hand, I know there was someone who is, I can't remember if this person is currently on the Friends board or is just now becoming more active with the Friends. And this person said, she's on the Friends board right now. She said recently that she hadn't realized until a year ago that the Friends meetings were open for anybody to attend until someone else who's with the Friends, but not a director, had invited her to go to one of the monthly meetings. She's like, oh, they have meetings that I can go to it. That's an important thing as well. So the more openness there is about both groups and their relationship to one another, I think is fabulous. I don't see that it really ties the hands too much. I mean, it's a memorandum of understanding. I don't know how that is in the legal hierarchy, whether the Friends could hold the trustees' feet to the fire on any particular line item or vice versa. But, as a laying out how the relationship should be, I think it's certainly worthwhile to have.
I tend to agree with kind of both arguments. I think that having, whether it's an MOU or just like some sort of, just understanding of partnership or something, something that's a little less formal than that, I think that's a good idea. But I sort of agree with Kevin that I think a lot of this sort of like soul searching that the Friends need to do about like their mission needs to happen from within the Friends. And I think that some of what this issues we're having about like not kind of having the understanding of what their role in the whole thing is, like I think that the fact that they're going through the process of doing a mission statement right now is great. And I think that making sure that they have those guiding principles so that when somebody walks out the door and takes all the books with them and we don't know who, they look around and they go back and say, what is our core principles? What is our mission statement? That's what we're supposed to do. I don't think that a MOU is the document to like beat them over the head with and say like, you're supposed to be this advocating. I think that there's probably a lot of education and things like that we, and I don't know what the trustees' role in supporting that education can be about, making sure that we educate them. But I don't know if this is, I agree with the idea of doing something like this so that we all have a good understanding that, like Amy brought up about, or somebody brought up about the donations, what those friction points, how we're going to work through them in the future. I just don't know. We can't give them a mission. They have to kind of they have a mission, right? Like the friends group does X, but we can't be the only ones who educate them about that. And it's not through a document like this, right?
Yeah, I didn't see it as that actually, and it wouldn't have to be signed necessarily. You could just have it as a procedure or a policy, or but there was one, and most of these things I didn't make them up, they were in a template. When I asked, I don't know if you saw me on that email chain, Cindy, but I asked statewide for pros and cons. Does anybody have? Nobody had any cons, and a lot of people said they really they really found it beneficial under circumstances that you would be unprepared for. That's when it became, somebody from Westwood said there was a situation they never in a million years would have expected it. And because they had this memorandum of understanding, they were able to point to it and say, that's not how this is supposed to work. So she sent me her document as well. So I looked at several of them and I just picked stuff out. When I showed this to the friends, there was one person who was very kind of alarmed about the whole action plan. They didn't want to have to work on the action plan. And we already have so much to do. We're not going to be able to do that. And I said, we have an action plan and it's all done. And the friends had input. They were part of it. And what this document is saying, which is something that I have never done, is that I should be telling you what the actions are for the following year so that you know why the money is needed for that. Mm-hmm. Right now they feel like, right now I think some people are uncomfortable with donating because, they have this money, they're saving it for whatever expenses they need. They're not sure what we're going to do with it. It goes to the town, into a town account. Well, what are you going to do with it? Well, what are the plans? Well, what are the children's programs? And, that's not a good way to, these people work hard. You don't want them not feeling like this, people give to Blossoms and they're just thrilled. They have a good idea where it's going. And the friends don't have that same sense of, they find it hard to let it go, to let the money go. And I realized that's in part because they're not included in the whole strategic outlook. They don't know where we're going or why. And when we say children's programs, they don't have any idea what that means in relation to a curriculum or something that we're building or something that we're working on. So I just think it gives a little structure. If everybody decides they don't want to do it, I'm perfectly happy with that. I just wanted to introduce it as an alternative and look it over and make it looser, make it less defined, more defined. If everybody votes and decides they don't need it, the friends themselves may decide they don't want it. So I guess I'm trying to do my due diligence. They exist. Lots of people use them. It may be, we have gone 30 or 40 years without one. And, but I don't know, this last.
I know. I agree with you. The last.
I think Cindy pulled it out in the end. I didn't know what was going to happen there.
I don't disagree. And I think that's sort of my sort of, reluctance to say, geez, this is not, I don't think it's a good idea at all. I do think there's some, I think it's a good topic for discussion because of what happened this past year with the friends. Really, I mean, it was really kind of, and Cindy had a front row seat at it, and I had some, inkling what was happening. It was distressing. It was really distressing, quite honestly. So I can understand why you'd want something to be transparent that sort of spells out the relationship, so there's no mystery behind it. It is what it is. I'm happy to take a closer look at it. That was just my first initial impression of it.
And
And
to
by
be,
no
hon-
means have made a final decision on, which way to go.
I think
I
it-
just raise
right.
these things as sort of issues. to
And I
think
think
about.
it's already maybe served its purpose in that I've had to study it and look into it. And so there are all kinds of things I'm going to incorporate into my relationship with them moving forward, which would probably change things right there. So if,
I definitely like the idea of having something written down. Because I remember when I first became a trustee, I had no idea that they were even really connected the way they are. I thought they were, you were separate entities. So, Cindy's right. I didn't really understand how it was connected. I had never been part of the Friends before. And, and I just think everybody only has so much time for discussion and like things that will streamline a lot of explanation and everyone's on the same page. Things are, so up in the air, things change so quickly. Trustees, friends, needs, etc. I think it only makes sense to have something more, just some basic things like that everybody knows, whether you're coming or going or what. Because when I first went, I was like, I didn't understand what the Friends was all about. Just there was a lot of chit chat. There was a lot of, they were long. There was sugar. I didn't know what was happening. And I think it's a very different animal right now. And, Catherine, you only have so much time. I think we need something written down. It's only so many days. That's my opinion. The specifics are fine, but I think writing it down is an excellent idea.
Question, the bullet point that stood out to me is the one about furnishing a wish list. And I know that, I think I was at the December Friends meeting where you guys talked about the $10,000 at the beginning of the year instead of going back for each individual ask.
Mhm.
Is that sort of tied into this wish list idea? And as
It would be
touched on the disbursement, but
right. It would be similar. The $10,000 in one fell swoop was really a disbursement issue.
okay.
So that they could promote it as a lump sum. And so I said, I'm not going to ask for any more. That's how, that's the rest of it you can use for what you need for to run your organization. And then, I'll come back after that. But going forward, I think I need to be more strategic about what, we used to go to Nancy Sheehan and say, can you write up a list? Like all these people would have these things that they would give to the Friends. And it was like dribs and drabs and nobody really knew exactly where it was all going. And there were many, if you pull up the QuickBooks, there's all these things that they're funding. And I think we should specify what it is and just do it a couple of times a year and call it wish list items, that this is what's on our wish list. So they have regular things that maybe they decide that they want to fund regularly. Every Friend has always wanted to fund children's programs. So maybe they say they're going to do children's programs all the time, and then there'll be wish list items. And that might be French Club or, something, a desk, an item that we might decide in a particular year. But we could do that together and everybody would feel more comfortable knowing where it was going.
Okay. Well, I'll be at the first Friends meeting when this is going to be discussed, and I will hold my opinions to myself. I will tell you that right now. And just tell the folks that we've started discussing it. It was brought up at our last trustees meeting. We're just reviewing it and kind of looking at it, but I'm not going to say anything more than that. I'll let them have their free discussion about what they think.
When they say they don't want to do it, you'll smile.
No, I won't do anything like that. But I'll report back, at the next meeting, unless Jackie or Catherine's going to be there, so
Yeah.
you guys can interject as you want, but I'm not gonna say one way or the other how I feel about it one way or what the discussion was here, just to say that, we just started looking at it and we're going to continue discussing it, and we'd be interested in what their thoughts are.
Right.
So.
Because maybe they'll end it.
They might.
Yeah,
They might.
they
Yeah,
might.
it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They might
It could
be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Anything else from anybody before we adjourn? Okay, I'll have a motion to adjourn the meeting at I have 8:16.
So moved.
Right, second,
Second.
Chris and Amy. All's in favor? Amy,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Adam,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. We will adjourn. Thanks, everybody. We'll
Thank
See you,
see
folks.
next
Evening all.
Good night.
6 months. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.